Hello and welcome to Dollie and Thomas. This time we are not on Antarctica. No, we are on Antarctica. I was about to say we are not on Mars. We are on Antarctica. And
We are.
Yes, I'm sorry. Oh, this is live and we're doing well just from the beginning. Hey,
A good
Dollie.
icebreaker.
Hey,
Hello,
Dollie.
Thomas. Hello,
Hello.
and hello, Billy. Hello,
Hello,
Billy.
I'm here. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes, our special guest today is Billy because we know Billy has a lot of knowledge on Antarctica and we want to have him with us while we are speaking about Antarctica. And some of the... No, wait a second. We're just gonna just say hello in a proper way to Dolly, my co-host. Are you okay, Dolly?
No, Thomas, I'm not okay. I'm rather poorly today. I've got a tooth infection.
Yeah, so
But
now...
I'm plodding along.
Yeah, you're doing as good as you can. I'm so glad you are here today.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I wouldn't miss it for the world. What's a toothache and research? Hey, that's it. Work continues.
Dolly, you are hardcore.
Hardcore. Tell me about it.
And Billy, you and I have been discussing Antarctica before, and we have been discussing anomalies before as well also. And as I said before, I'm glad to have you on board here today. We are gonna start looking at some bases. We're not gonna spend the whole evening on the bases. These are just the Google Earth images of the bases that you can have a look at on Google Earth. They are visible and the coordinates are all posted to the bases on marsmoonspace.com on Dolly and Thomas on Antarctica. And the one we are looking at here is the only base. No, sorry, there were two visible bases from United Kingdom. And this is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correct. Maybe I should ask Dolly. Rothera base, is that correct?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. And doesn't it look strange and to have a base like this on Antarctica? Yes. Billy, what do you think the British government are doing on Antarctica?
Yeah, it's really interesting because all of a sudden, a lot of world leaders are heading to Antarctica, and a lot of top researchers, former astronauts like Buzz Aldrin, quantum physicists, and astrophysicists are all converging on Antarctica for some strange reason. Now, more recently, in 2016, as you know, one of our team members, Joe White, was invited to participate in Ancient Aliens in episode 11 of the most recent series called Destination Mars. He uncovers, or he shows his discovery of this gigantic Antarctic pyramid that's so super massive. I think it's larger than the one at Giza. And and it's amazing.
Wow.
I actually think I have the pyramid right here. Let me just find it here. Let me just see. Pyramid, where are you? We have it right here. That should be the one we're talking about. Is that the one we're talking about?
Let me see here. Yes, that's it right there. That is it.
Yes.
And now the crazy thing about this is it was reported, this pyramid was reported back in 2010 by Linda Moulton Howe. She's a journalist. She's a world famous journalist and researcher of ufology and many other things as well. And it was also reported back then by it was somebody else very, very big at the time that was bringing this to the attention of the world. I cannot put my finger on it right at this moment, but this was brought up in 2010, and supposedly at that time, when the military had kind of rediscovered it because the peak was sticking up, it seems like more snow has melted off of this during the global warming phase that our planet is in right now. But at that time, only the peak was showing. But the reason why the military was going there in 2010 was because it was still emitting some type of exotic energy from the peak. This is incredible stuff, man. This is really...
Yeah. Tell us about it.
You know, Yeah, I mean, amazing. So now all of a sudden, everybody's going there. The Queen of England's going there. You know, I mean, what's going on here? According to Major Ed Dames, when I met him in October of 2016, he told me straight out of his mouth that there's an Anunnaki above ground base in Antarctica right now, and that the governments of the world know about it. So maybe there's a meeting now. Some people that I've talked to, some insiders that I know from dealing with Gaia, are saying that there's been a change of leadership on this planet, you know, from the past to a new leader. In other words, Amun Ra or Marduk, who formerly was ruling and controlling this planet, who, you know, the Anunnaki rule and they rule in ages. So his age came to an end, and now it has been transferred supposedly to another Anunnaki ruler. So maybe they were going to greet this ruler. Maybe they were going to pay homage. You know, whatever happened, it scared the daylights out of Buzz Aldrin, because he made that tweet stating that it's total evil and that we're in trouble.
Do we know who this ruler is, Billy? Have we got an idea?
And do we know what base they were visiting?
No, we don't know. No. That's the thing. That's all been kept top secret. Yeah.
So, boss, if you're listening out there, we want to know what base you were on. So call me. You got my number.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We need to find out, because something spooked him so bad that it really destroyed him, like health-wise, and they had to, you know, they had to get him out of there. They had to extract him from the Antarctica and bring him back. I mean, he really was spooked. Whatever it was he saw or heard or listened to, or whatever was revealed to him, it really spooked him.
And he quoted it was evil. We found there.
It is pure evil, he wrote.
Yes, pure evil.
We have a lot of theories of what's going on, and my personal theory was that he probably met some of those. I firmly believe that we have inhabitants, not as we know them as humans, on Antarctica. And I think he met some of them, and that was scaring to him.
Could be. Yeah.
The shit out
They're
of
still
him.
there, man.
They are still
no
there.
Doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I for a little moment, I want to go back to the bases on Antarctica here. This one is also a British base. It's the Halley base, and they just built a new one. Halley. And they built the new one that is Halley 5. And according to what I read today, this base we are looking at now is actually demolished and gone. And they have had built this base on a giant piece of ice, many 100 kilometers long, and it was actually breaking loose from the mainland. So they decided
part of that base actually sunk into the water below the ice.
Wow.
So their new base is moved 23 kilometers west of what you're looking at here. I just wrote that today, and I actually tried to find it on Google, but the area next to it is not. It's blurred out. You can't get any high resolution as this one we're looking at here.
Wow.
Before we continue, I want to say hi to all our viewers. Let me just see who we have here. We have Neville, and he has been here early today. Well, you didn't fall asleep today. That's great, Neville. We had Omar Corona. Hey, Omar. We have Trini Mike. Hi. And we have our true follower, Maria, with us also. Hello, everyone. We are glad to have you here in our live chat, listening and watching our live show. If anybody of you have a question you want to ask, please use the chat box as you're doing now, and ask your question either for Billy, me, or Dolly. Should we move on to some of the other bases here?
Yeah, let's move on. We've got one up next. Is that Ukraine?
That's the Ukraine Vernadsky base.
Yeah, Vernadsky.
Yeah, I personally, I know, of course, there are there are some simple research bases on Antarctica, but every time I see pictures of bases on Antarctica, my brain tells me this is not a simple research base.
Yeah. I mean, I know that they go out there to do ice cores and things like that, but there's a much bigger hidden agenda, I believe, that's going on. When you see all of these countries converging into the same exact piece of land, the same continent, and building these top secret bases, there's definitely a front game where it's okay, we're doing this research and we're getting ice cores so we can tell this and tell that, and they're probably doing that. But there's, in my opinion, you don't spend that kind of money just to get a couple of ice cores. I think that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than they want us to know about.
I think you are so right on that. But Ukraine, what could Ukraine possibly be researching or studying on Antarctica?
The Russian, they were Ukraine, but I maybe I hope it's not an insult to call them Russians, but Russia and America. Yeah, I know it's very dangerous, but they're almost, they're cousins, I guess, since the whole thing broke up. But but America is really the best of friends with all of these governments that are involved in these secret, bases and these dark missions. And if they're not the best of friends and they're holding something over their heads to keep them from speaking, like embargoes, trade embargoes, and things like that, the power that the United States government has is not just military power. They have control of space, so they can control whether you're able to launch satellites or not. They can control you getting your wheat imported or exported. They can control all different types. So if they put an embargo on a neighboring country or a country that you do big business with, then it can hurt your economy and you can crash your economy overnight. So if the United States says, hey, you do what we tell you to do, or we're going to do this and that, then they just listen because they don't want to lose their economy. So that's what they hold over these countries' heads. They hold the threat of losing their economy.
We have
interesting
a base from Chile here.
Captain Arturo, is that Captain Arturo?
I think it's what it says. Yes.
That's an interesting, looking little base.
Chile is one of those who have the most bases they have 5 visible bases on Google Earth that are actually you can go find on the official Google Earth Antarctica base list. So what are
That's really interesting.
Yeah, what are Chile, that normally is a country on the sunny side of the world, so to speak, doing on Antarctica, and what are they researching there?
Yes, it's really interesting that that they would even have a base or multiple bases there. They've been out there for a very, very long time. I think they had even been there since the 1960s. But again, are they working with the Nazis? Because you remember the Nazis, the rumor is, and from all research points to them actually escaping, some of the top level Nazis escaping to South America and starting their operations up all over again. And then, of course, their New Swabia base in Antarctica. So it makes you wonder, did they have a significant enough influence down there to where they can get these governments to cooperate with them over all these years to continue their research, development, and experimentation?
I just sit and read here before we started about Antarctica and the Nazis, and just after Germany capitulated to the world and lost the war, 5 Nazi submarines took with a month or two between them to Argentina and surrendered to Argentina, which is one of the closest countries to Antarctica. And on one of those 5 submarines, there was an officer telling that they had been on Antarctica and they had been delivering important notes, relics, religious relics, and so on and so on. They have all been delivering what they considered as important stuff for our future on Antarctica, on this so-called super Nazi base, the Shangri-La, as the Germans called it back then. Isn't that interesting? That
that's really
the same
interesting.
area
That's amazing.
are going and to surrender.
Yeah.
Could the Ark of the Covenant be there? Could it be there? Could it have been moved to there? Because it's moved locations a lot, and the hunt was on for that at one point with the Nazis.
But
there's a couple of there's more than one Ark. There's one in Ethiopia. There was actually two in Ethiopia, but one got stolen, and that actually made international news.
Okay.
But there was supposedly a total of 3 Arks. So there may be one, like you say, Dolly, that's still floating around here.
Something of importance is on Antarctica for all these countries worldwide. It seems as though it's a global shared mission. You know what's going on here. It's an interest taken by all.
Absolutely.
You know,
But
something is going on.
I know it's a little bit fancy what I'm gonna say now, but we have all seen Indiana Jones. And what was it called? The
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, where they found the arch and the Germans stole it and released the power of the arch, and they all died.
Yeah.
What if, in theory, that the Germans actually took it to Antarctica to make sure that nobody used it? Neither them or anybody else.
Anything is possible. Very possible.
So
it's a very remote location and very inhospitable. I mean, even as you can see, one of the bases we just talked about actually sunk into the ice and was buried.
The base. Yeah.
Dangerous territory.
Yeah.
We were speaking about Chile and their bases before. Here we see one of their bases with an airstrip on here, and funny enough, there are no planes on the ground on this picture here, but there is a hell of a lot of buildings just nearby within a few kilometers. I think that one of them is right here.
That's a lot.
Escudero. That's just 2 kilometers from that base, and notice in the bottom in the middle, that odd, almost purple, light red object building. Is a really weird one.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, it looks like an animal or
like a shell or something.
It's
really strange.
Odd, strange one.
Dome shaped.
But hey, maybe they just have modern architecture with them when they constructed those buildings. Just look at the buildings we are building today around the world. Some of them are looking pretty weird.
Yeah, that's true. Or the airstrip. I mean, when you're in a remote location like this, you probably don't have a plane that's just there on the ground. They probably have a plane that comes every so many weeks to bring supplies.
Yeah, supplies and
it just comes down, it drops off the supplies, it makes a U-turn and takes right back off again.
I think so, because I've seen some of the other bases. We had the Scott base, the New Zealand base, just next to McMurdo base, where there were lots of planes on. We had the Chinese base that has one of these old propeller planes standing just a few miles away from the base also. So 1 second here, and I have to say hi to Amazon KC and Star Tribe, and Theron Simmons and Andrew Welly. Hey Andrew, and thank you Andrew for your support. You know what I mean, and Dolly knows it too. That was so great of you to support us, and that was a little secret between us and Andrew that is in here, but you probably will find out at the end when I'm gonna put the last little video on when we are finished here. Let's continue with the bases here. Another base from Chile, Chile, General Bernardi O'Higgins. Yeah, and here we see some serious buildings, some serious constructions. What?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how many active bases are there in Antarctica. A lot of people, when you hear Antarctica, you think it's just this desolate place with maybe a couple of temporary research stations, but it's really got a lot going on. You know.
Yeah, I'm thinking these guys in such a cold climate must have some of the best technology in the world to keep themselves warm, alive, surviving. You know, but we're not seeing any of it, which is bizarre as well, because this should be
another thing to consider is another thing to consider is their power sources as well. How are they generating power? You know, some of these are probably on generators, diesel generators, but some of these may be using the bloom box. You know, some of these other type of devices that can capture electromagnetic waves out of the atmosphere and convert them into power. You just never know, but I haven't seen any giant power stations in any of these images yet.
No,
or solar panels or...
The Chinese had one on one of their bases, actually one of the bases without a name on, where you can see those fuel tanks stations, and you can see they had something that reminded me of a building we had on a research station just 10 kilometers from where I live, where they did research 10 years ago with nuclear power. And they had this cylinder-shaped construction also, where they had the reactor in. The one we had next to where I live was just a tiny model of a reactor, but it worked, and they used it. And this one is looking just like that area I could go look at on Google Earth, just next to where I live. So something is definitely going on, and some of the things we noticed on last episode where we were looking at some of the bases was that many of them had this water basin just next to it, water pool, or what looks like a pool of water just next to
a reservoir.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, if you remember the anomaly that I discovered on Mercury, that building structure on Mercury that we did a video on, where the building is about a mile wide. It looks like a base sitting on top of a very icy shelf, kind of like this base here, backed up to what looked like a water reservoir. You know, it's the same concept. I think no matter what planet you're on, I think when you're in a remote or desolate location or inhospitable location, it seems like all the basic rules apply in terms of for survival, no matter what type of being you are.
Resources, yeah.
It's all similar. I mean, this is similar type living conditions to what we saw on the planet Mercury. So it's amazing stuff.
Star Tribe Cafe is asking, what's the importance of all these bases? Viewing space under Earth. You know what, Star Tribe? That is exactly what we are trying to find out.
Yeah.
What is this?
It's probably a combination of research for scientific purposes like ice cores, which give you a good idea of the cyclical, the cycles of the Earth, whether warming, heating, rain patterns, ash, and when different type of atmospheric conditions, the amount of oxygen in the air. There's so many variables that you can discover from ice cores, and then when you look into what other things they could be doing behind the scenes, it could be a cooperative effort to research the subterranean areas of Antarctica and potentially underground cities, underground caverns. Some are researching different things like oil deposits down there. There's a lot of research going on. I really do think, though, that the subterranean area or the area below where when you see the videos, it's not even that cold in that location. There's a place out there that's being blocked that's not that cold, and they actually have green grass and so forth growing.
Yeah.
Right. And there's probably an entire little mini civilization. Probably an entrance, and when you get in there's probably a little civilization in there that that's probably thriving.
I could imagine so.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah.
It would be nice.
Yes, it would. Back to the bases. Here we have one of China's bases, actually called the Great Wall. Why they choose that name, I don't see any wall, but I see the the idea with the Great Wall in China as a name.
That's interesting. They call this the base, the Great Wall in Antarctica.
Yeah, and what should they, in theory, be shielding off with a Great Wall, if we are speaking hypothetical?
Well, you know, everything is symbolism. So when they say Great Wall and they're in Antarctica and they're at base, then we have to really go and analyze the Great Wall of China and figure out all the specifics of what the Great Wall was about, why it was built, who ordered it to be built, what were they trying to keep out, even what did they build it out of, what was the construction technique, because all of that will kind of begin to give clues as to why they named this base. You don't just name a base the Great Wall. So it's got something to do with, in relation to the Great Wall's purpose, the real Great Wall in China. And maybe I just can't figure it out right at this moment, but we would have to really, it's like a riddle, you know. You have to really investigate the Great Wall of China to come up with some good ideas or theories on why they would name this base the Great Wall.
Jeff Workman is asking, are any of the bases in the area the NASA set up in New Swabenland? We have some of the bases up there. I would have to go into my own Google Earth to see what's in exactly that area, and I have actually not prepared a picture to explain or give an answer to that question. But yes, there is a lot of bases in that area, New Swabenland. I will get back to that to that question later. And we have another picture here from Uruguay, Artigas, and that is actually just next to the area we saw before with Chile and that odd shaped construction, light red, purple, pink colored construction. So it's
that's interesting.
In the same
we said
area.
that about the colours before, that they all seem to be like different colours. Do you remember, Thomas?
Sorry, once again, Dollie?
Do you remember in our last videos we noticed that there were lots of different colours, lots of different countries?
Yeah. I remember that the Scott base was pure green all over, and when we came to India, they had different colors all over every single building construction. And the Chinese had a lot of different colors also, red and yellow and dark blue constructions, buildings also, but some of them are well, I tend to say that when they went to Antarctica, they only got one bottle of the same color with them. but I don't know.
I think some of the buildings are color coded for not for flag purposes or country purposes, but for research purposes. So that when a new research team arrives or somebody arrives, it's labeled as colors. Maybe it's easier that way. You know, different buildings perform different operations or different services or operations within the whole whatever the heck they're doing. And sometimes it's easy. Okay, the green building. We know the green building is for this. The red building is is for this. You know, so that's very possible. I know that the Artigas is the name of the base. That it's actually a noun, and it's between 764 and 1850. This guy named Jose Gervasio, which refers to this Artigas name, was a national hero of Uruguay, and he fought for the Uruguayan independence from Argentina, but was driven into exile in 1820. So this is obviously a base that's out in the middle of nowhere. So maybe that's why they named it after him. Maybe.
It seems all the names have significance as well. It seems they're all of importance, which is showing that there's some kind of importance with the research that's going on here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Another interesting base is this one, Korea Kim Se-young base.
Mm.
Korean base. What
Mm.
are
Wow.
Korea doing on Antarctica? And they don't mention anything if it's North Korea or South Korea.
Right.
I tend to
That's
believe
crazy.
it would be South Korea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I would have never thought a Korean base would be in Antarctica.
Nope.
Wow. That is really interesting.
So they are represented on the Antarctica, and so is Poland. That was the best shot I could get of the Polish base. You know, when you're doing these shots of the bases, screenshots here, you can choose between different maps from different years of the same area, and some of them are actually better than others, but this was the best one I could get of that area. It's called Aktowski base.
Okay.
And again, you can ask yourself, what are Poland doing on Antarctica? Poland that are so far away from Antarctica.
Yeah.
We have Brazil, Comandante Ferraz base on Brazil.
That looks a bit deserted, that one does, Thomas, doesn't it? It looks
I see tracks in front of the buildings and all over actually. But again, that was it was not a very good image. It was one of the best one I could get, and I had to mingle my way around it. You know, you can switch position, not just see it from straight upside down, but you can also go down and see it from an angle and turn around. And this was the best angle I could get on this base here. And I can't really see much else. That there are some tracks going around from the different buildings they have.
Yeah.
Now,
Bizarre.
Argentina is just like Chile, represented with 5 bases, official bases. They probably got more.
That's interesting.
And back to the history with Germany surrendering to the Argentine Navy. Back in 1945, and they came to the same area to surrender. Could it be that they were collaborating with Argentina, and they're saying, okay, we need to surrender our ships, we don't want them to be found somewhere else, and we need to have some cooperation partners that are not 10,000 miles away, that we can get food supplies from as well also. Could there be something to the theory that was the reason why Germany surrendered and handed over 5 Nazi U-boats to Argentina?
I think that they were totally in collusion. It was an agreed upon surrender, and most likely, because the creators of the Haunebu 3 that they made in Germany, which is a UFO that uses a ferrofluid vortex engine. They actually rumored to have put Hans Kleimler on there and took off, and he escaped to Argentina on that UFO. And so it's very possible that they could have offered them, teaching them some of the advanced technology that they had in exchange for asylum.
Very possible.
But then they probably killed all the rulers that agreed to all of that after they got there, because they're so brutal, and then the whole thing died with the people that agreed to the surrender.
I was just reading about the Nazi base and what the history is saying and what they know from a transcript from a radio conversation that have been between the Nazi base and. Correct me if I am wrong. They had a communication with someone, either in Argentina or in Chile, via the radio, where they talked about the polar people. And the last thing they heard, the Germans said, was that the polar people had found the base and they were here now. And then they heard some yelling and screaming, and the radio was cut off and they were never heard from them again.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that same story.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
so
you dance with the devil.
Who are the polar people?
Who are they?
I think they're referring to those inner Earth people that they discovered there. There's been some conflicting stories. One is that Maria Orsic was channeling this information about how to build the Hannibals and everything else from the Aldebaran star. But I really truly believe that it wasn't Aldebaran. My personal opinion, I believe that it was people right here on this planet, these Anunnaki, most likely, that put information into their heads. Because right now we have the same exact tech. Matter of fact, Nikola Tesla in the late 1800s, had created the Wardenclyffe Tower. And that tower had the capability of transmitting information directly into a person's mind. And that person would think that it was their own voice. You can, so the technology we have now with these satellites that have the capability of doing all this and that, I think that we've got the technology to put thoughts into people's minds. We even have things like MK Ultra and so forth. So it's very possible that they thought they were getting information from Aldebaran, but it could have been coming right from here locally, from these Anunnakis in this inner Earth base from Antarctica.
That's very possible. Yes, indeed.
I would believe that more than a star, that's, I don't even know how many light years away that star is sending information to this lady. I'd really more likely to believe that it came from right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mind control, exactly. Mind control, direct download information.
And manipulations. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
Yeah. We have
Interesting stuff.
another interesting picture also from Argentina, and this one is quite interesting because there are two large brown areas just to the left of the middle, and the one that is in back of the first brown area actually looks like a huge entrance into the mountain.
It does.
And that's interesting. That is truly interesting. I have, of course, saved a few pictures of possible entrances to inner Earth and Antarctica that we will have a look at after we have been looking at these bases here. So is it possible that we are looking at these entrances here?
Yeah, very possible. And one of the things that I don't think people realize is, we hear the word, and I even use the word inner Earth. Some people believe that there's a complete inner Earth with an internal sun. Now, I tend to not really go that dramatic with it. I believe that because I've seen caverns, and I went into a cavern when I was in Mexico at Cacahuamilpa in Mexico, and I went 2 kilometers into the earth, and I could have kept going, but when you get that deep, they tell you, okay, we have to start heading back because the oxygen is getting thin down here. But that cavern that I was in was, at some points was 180 meters off the ground to the ceiling. It was a massive, and that was a small one, So imagine some of these underground caverns that could be the size of states that can hold, millions and millions of people. I believe that that's what's underneath the earth, that there's these cavern systems that were developed and built out using advanced technology that are super massive, but not that the entire earth is completely hollow and that there's a sun in the middle. I just don't know about that one. I don't know if that violates the laws of physics as we know it, but I do believe that there's these gigantic, huge caverns. Some caverns can be large enough to hold several million people in a population, and then they would never have to come out.
And they could have set up some kind of light source that would be described as an inner sun, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We never know. The world is a strange place, and we never find out all of its secrets.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's just another base from Argentina. Every base in my eyes are suspicious, and we were talking about these pools, water of Oh, sorry.
Footballs.
Yeah. And you have two right here in the middle also. For
I
what
think it gives
use?
you easy access to drinking water that you can distill into water that you can distill into drinking water.
Yeah.
Right. You can distill it. You can shower with it. You can use it for cooking. You can use it. Obviously, you need it for flushing toilets and so forth. So you just need easy access to water, and you don't want to have to go miles to get it, especially in an inhospitable situation like being out in the middle of Antarctica.
Another base from Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
And looks a bit strange, but again, we are just looking at buildings. The big question is not what it looks like, it's more what's going on inside. And again, it's just to show some of all these bases that you can actually see from Google Earth. We have another one here, a tiny little one, Belgrano, the second or two.
That's a tiny one, isn't it?
I think it's just an outpost of some kind where they did some experiments or something.
And there's no roads in and no roads out. These guys must be purely dedicated to be in those
unless one thing you have to consider, underneath they go down into a underground chamber and then get into a shuttle system and travel to another base.
But what about if they are doing some experiments that could be considered dangerous? Then it would probably take them 25 kilometers away from the nearest base in case of something went wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing about
how near are all of these bases together? Are they in a strip or are they just located everywhere?
I would have to take a screenshot of Google Earth. I may be able to do that in just a second, so we can share it. If you and Billy can talk for 2 minutes, I will take a screenshot. And this is the Neumayer base from Germany that's coming up here. I'm just gonna make a screenshot, so I'm leaving it all over to you now, Dollie and Billy.
No problem.
This is amazingly different. It just looks like little dots of little lines, doesn't it, everywhere?
Yeah.
Moment.
It's I think this is Thomas zooming into this Google Earth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's looking
because
for the...
I was just sharing my screen, but the viewers cannot see that. That's only...
Yeah. That's okay. But the one that we just saw, Dollie, that looked like those lines, now, that might be ice core research. Okay, so it's very possible that... Sorry, hold on. Excuse me. What they like to do is they like to take multiple samples from an area.
Right.
And this area might be, I'm just saying it might be ice core research, where they go down and they go down, I don't know, several meters, maybe kilometers, maybe 1 kilometer, and then they pull up these giant ice cores, and they like to take a lot of cores from one location so they can compare them and make sure that that they're getting an accurate estimate. Now, there was a recent video that I saw on Gaia by it's called Missing Links, and it's by what's the guy's name? Oh, I love this guy too. Can't believe it. Greg Braden. And in that show, Missing Links, in episode 1, they're analyzing these ice cores from here, and these ice cores give out so much information. It's absolutely astounding. Like, there's so much information in the ice core. You can tell every single time the planet went through global warming. You can tell every time the planet went through an ice age. You can tell every time the planet went through an age of distress within oxygen, nitrogen. Those gases were minimized. You can tell. And the thing that's really amazing about it, it happens on cycles, almost at the same exact, every so many thousands of years, it comes back, those particular things. So what's so amazing about the research in Missing Links that I saw at Greg Braden is, if you actually take those charts that he's got from the science research, you can actually write a book and make predictions. And you can say, in the year 2070, between the year 2070 and the year 2090, there's going to be a drought in this part of the world. I mean, you literally can make those type of, tight predictions.
Yeah.
Based on this data, because this data goes back thousands of years. So, and you see the cycle, so you know exactly how much time there is in between every mini cataclysm, between every ice age, between every global warming period. Global warming is not coming from exhaust fumes on your car, and it's not coming from cows passing gas in the field.
No.
Okay,
No.
it's not even close. Global warming is literally coming from it's first of all, it's solar system wide. The entire every planet and moon in our solar system is going through a warming phase right now. So it's really being caused by gravitational waves, most likely from a brown dwarf star that's orbiting just outside of our just outside of the orbit of Pluto. And as it's getting closer in its elliptical orbit, those gravitational waves are energy waves, and they actually generate heat in the core of the moons and planets, which that heat then is it's what's warming the planets and warming up our solar system. It's not exhaust fumes and all this kind of craziness that these people have been pitching to everybody all these years. That's just a way for them to make more money. So
I am back again here. I just made a screenshot, but before
You're back.
I am back, yes. But before we are sharing the screenshot, we're just gonna have a look at the last base for today before we start looking at pyramids and anomalies and so on. And that is South Africa, the Sanae base, is it called? Yes. And there are some antennas are massed in the left side and some constructions in the middle and to the right. That was the best shot I could get of that one here. But again, just saying that lots of countries are represented on Antarctica, even South Africa are represented there. And again, the big question is, what are they doing? What research are they doing? We could probably go in and Google the research purpose for each single country, but I didn't have 70 hours before we started. I only had 24 hours in one day, and I'm working 10 of them. So
well, most of them don't really spell out. Most of them don't spell out exactly what they're doing. It's just research. Some say marine research, some say, basic research. There's no specifics. There's no real in-depth specifics as to what they're doing out there. And again, whatever they do say that they're doing as well could also be a front, because what is the purpose of having? I mean, if you have an ally, if you're an ally to a country and they've got 3 or 4 bases out there doing research, they would be sharing this research with you anyway. Why does each individual country need to be there with multiple bases doing this research? What are they studying? I think some of them are really studying what's below the ice, and maybe even uncovering some of the ancient story, the ancient history of this planet.
Let's have a look at that Google Earth picture as we talked about before. I just made a screenshot here, and there are a lot of bases. I'm just gonna show you another picture because one of our viewers asked about the German bases, and I'm just gonna show you where the German bases is. Sorry, I didn't turn the Google Earth picture around so it looks like this one, but here you can see the red area. That's New Schwabenland. And if we go back to Google Earth, you can see that's in the bottom to the left, and there are a few bases in the area. And as we also spoke about last time, me and Dollie, that the Norwegians was actually the first one to reach what is today is being described as New Schwabenland, and they went up there, or was it in 1819 something, their first expedition?
Something like that,
where the Norwegians came up there, and the Germans actually came after the Norwegians, and I'm not sure if they took over their bases or they collaborated with them, because I don't see Norway on the official Antarctica list. Maybe I just haven't looked good enough, but when I was just scrolling through the list, I didn't see Norway, and I didn't see it either on the list of bases with public coordinates too, so you can go find them. So I think that Germany probably kicked out Norway, collaborated with them, and then kicked them out, or slowly outsourced their workforce with some of their own. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say hi to Chaplinsky. Sorry if I didn't say your name right. Thank you for your support to me and Dollie also last week. That is wonderful of you. Let's get back to some of the other pictures, because I was scrolling a little bit around on Antarctica on Google Earth, and I really like this picture, because no matter how you turn it around, what angle you see it, there are two circles in this one, and the one to the left shows 3 round holes, and they are from 18 to 20 meters in diameters. And you can see them from all angles.
That is huge.
That is huge, yes.
That is huge.
And to the right, you can see that other red circle or brown circle, where you actually can see something that looks like an obelisk. But my first thought was, this is just ice. It's just ice. It's nothing else than ice. So I looked through the pictures of that area from the other years, and there were 5 or 6 different satellite images from different years, going back from 1984 to 2016. And that object that is the same color as the ice is exactly there on all the pictures. But the eyes behind it are moving around, but that object is there. That's why I have circled it in. So
that's fantastic. That means that something is keeping that area cleared from ice and snow.
And that object is about 40 to 60 meters high, tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's only 2 ways to do that. One way is if that area is warmer than the surrounding area, where maybe it's venting heat, a heat source venting there or something, or somebody's manually, coming up and removing the ice and snow. Most likely, it probably has this. It's warmer than the surrounding area, so there may be ventilation of slightly warmer air coming out of there, keeping it from freezing over.
Yeah. But it is a great picture. I have another picture right here from an area of interest. And if you look at that dirt in the middle, it seems to come from what I at first sight would describe as a quarry site, from that mountain area in the top middle. And if you look just above where I have written with brown color letters Antarctica, and just to the right there is a little rocky formation. And I'll be damned, but I didn't put the picture in of that rocky formation, because there is a little hole, and it looks like the tracks from that dirty area, from the mountain area on the top, go straight into that hole. Let me see if I can find it before I end here. And I know Dollie will have to leave us soon, so we will soon be finished here, but Dollie now might not be here all the way through. So just let us know, Dollie, when you have to go.
Okay, I will do.
Yes.
The tracks are interesting leading into that. It looks like there is some kind of open cavern in there that leads in. Something's coming in and out of there.
Look up at the top right area, just below the Mars Moon Space logo with the blue eye. There is an area of interest. I'm going to show you the next picture here. That is the area we were looking at before. Look to the pictures enhanced down to the left. There is a square hole in that rock that you can see just above the rock in the middle. And that rock to the right looks like it has 2 round entrances hole in it, and it's actually like, if you're looking at it, the snow, that there is a pathway in. You can almost see what with normal word I would say a road into it. With the snow is cleared, and you can actually drive right in.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible. That's so clear. It's clear as day.
yeah.
It is. It's really clear. It's very
So
bizarre.
yeah,
Where are they going when they
It
get in
is,
there?
it's
yeah.
bizarre. Where
I
are
think
they
they're going down.
Yep.
Yeah,
Down,
and
down,
it looks like
definitely down.
there is some. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but on top of that rock with the two holes in on top right, it looks like there are some symbols on top of it.
Yes, you're right. I was just going to tell you that. Yeah.
So maybe the purpose was that someone that came from above was supposed to find these two holes.
Wow. That is clear as day. It's got to go down. There's nowhere else to go. I mean, there's not, I mean, yeah.
I have, okay, let's, I have 5 more pictures and we're finished for today here. And
Okay.
the picture I am showing you here is actually a picture that has been going around on the internet. I actually found a better picture of the same area than those that are presented on various YouTube channels, Secure Team, Scott Waring, some of all those that have used a pretty dark image without try looking for something better. Down the left corner, not all the way to the left, but halfway from the middle of the picture to the left, you see that round object that has been described as a UFO, and you can see it clear as the day here.
I can see it. Yeah, clear as day.
But when I looked at that, my first thought was, let's have a look at everything else than that. Because if that is something extraordinary, there has to be a lot of more extraordinary stuff. Look at the mountains in the middle. They seem to be hollowed out. They seem to be empty shells. And you could not see that on the original Google Earth picture that all the other YouTubers have used. So I was quite amazed when I spent 5 minutes finding a better picture of the same area. So are they hollow mountains, hillsides we are looking at? It looks like walls, constructions. Let me just take this picture here, a quick illustration where you can actually see how big the area is, and it's amazing. That little round UFO is just about 19 meters in diameter. The one pointed out with red, the length of that area that seems to be rock hollowed out is 76 meters long and almost 25 meters wide, and the green one to the right is 45 meters wide. So how do you create stuff like that?
Wow. That's a lot of space to create. I don't see any debris. If it was carved out or pulled out, it should maybe be some debris along the sides. But I don't see any debris there. It's almost like whatever scooped it out, took it away. It's not there anymore. It's gone. It's
my good friend William Whitecrow talked about the technology that he experienced once that could simply vaporize rocks.
Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense because you would have to have a huge crew just to take away all of the, all of the rock waste. Yeah, debris. You would have to have, and that would take a lot of time, energy, resources. If you can vaporize it, the machine that actually does the deep underground base tunneling. That creates those bases. It's a nuclear powered machine that doesn't need any extraction of debris. It actually vitrifies, melts the rock and vitrifies it simultaneously as it bores through the earth.
Fantastic.
So in a way, it's almost like it's it's vaporizing in a way as it goes through, and whatever's left over becomes fighted and just makes a seal around the machine.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that makes sense that you would vaporize it. That's a good point.
We are just about to end here, but one last picture, or maybe three. This is the picture that has been described on also various YouTube channels as the UFO entrance on Antarctica, the entrance into inner Earth. And one channel actually said it was the entrance to a Nazi base in Swabenland. I can guarantee you it's not even near Swabenland. It's on the other side of Antarctica. So no, it's not on Swabenland. I'm not saying it not could be related to the Nazis at all, but it does look like, no matter what way you're looking at it and what angle, it does look like there is an entrance covered up by some sort of dome in a black color. That's a great one. But as usual, I have to take some measurements here, and you can see the distance, the size of it here. So it's actually you can fly in there with a craft. 21 meters in diameter is that hole, and the last picture, so Dollie can go back home here, is coming up here. That's from the same area. You can see the entrance up here in the top. I put 2 areas on, and then there is this area.
Look at that! Wow,
200 meters away, where you can see the snow is almost cleared out, and it's like there was a driveway around here, and there is a square entrance, just where I'm pointing at with the lower red arrow. And that entrance is about 5 meters wide, and if you go, you can see the coordinates down the right corner. Go have a look at it, zoom in, and you will see what looks like a concrete entrance in there. I didn't do it very close because I wanted it to be so you could see the opening just on top of here.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. That is
Whichever
crazy.
way
That is amazing.
Antarctica is one of an astounding place of interest, really. It's just amazing interest all around it comes from this so-called barren place, of no man's land. There's so much going on there.
And Amazon KC is right when she writes it looks very similar to some of the anomalies I've found on Google Mars. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It truly does.
It does.
Yeah,
so,
it's the same architect, I'm telling you.
It could be. Guys, we have to end it up for today. That was 1 hour live stream with Dollie and Thomas and our special guest, Billy Carson, that is a walking, living library of knowledge, pure knowledge.
Absolutely astounding.
It is amazing. We hope to have you back another time again, Billy.
Absolutely.
Yes. And thank you, Dollie, for being my co-host.
You're welcome.
Again today.
As always.
Yeah. And we have a lot of projects going on. We have a project called Global Frequency Radio that is actually Dollie that will be the main host on, but you will hear more about that within a few weeks, probably.
A couple of weeks, it's we have some amazing guests and some really interesting people coming up to share some amazing knowledge with you.
That would be mostly interviews and experiences, sharing their knowledge, and not that much like anomalies as we've done it here. Am I right, Dollie?
It'll be more along the UFO experience and contact and people's stories, basically.
Yes.
Nice. Fantastic.
Nice.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna say thank you for now, and I'm just gonna put a little video on here because I made a video for Dollie, and I hope that she wouldn't find out, but she did. So but I'm gonna share that little video with all of you out there again, because it means a lot for us to get some help, so I can take Dollie with me to America in May. For all of you out there, watch this video. Until we see again, take care. Bye. Hi, this is Thomas from Mars Moon Space TV. I have a secret agenda today, and I'm gonna ask for something that I have never ever asked of any one of you before, and I hope I will never ever have to ask for it again. But I am going to Mobile in Alabama to the 6th annual Mars Conference in May 2017. My biggest wishes right here, right now, would be that I could send Dollie a ticket from Heathrow to Mobile and back again. Neither Dollie or me can afford taking out $700 of our daily budget. We both are normal people with a normal job, and I barely just can pay my bills here myself, so taking $700 out of the budget would be it's simply not possible for any one of us. So therefore we ask for help. If any one of you out there wanna help us, if any one of you out there has economical capacity to help us out to achieve our goal, which is to get Dollie to Mobile in Alabama, so Dollie and Thomas can cover the 6th annual Mars Conference, please go to marsmoonspace.com. On the front page there is a green text saying you can help to the continuation of the work of Mars Moon Space TV. Click on that text and you will be taken to a donation page. Please help me to surprise Dollie, and don't tell her about it, because she don't know what I'm doing. She might see the video sooner or later, but until she finds out, don't tell her. It's our little secret. But I really would love to surprise Dollie with a phone call and saying, I got you a ticket to Alabama. Will you help me reach that goal? For all of you out there, until we see again, take care. Bye.